Alright, in lesson number 10 I wanted to show you guys how to do elevations. Now what you probably don't know is, first of all, what an elevation is, and the second thing is you already have your elevations created. So at the very beginning I told you that, I think this was in another project, but at the very beginning we talked about how these little symbols are elevation symbols. They're kind of like cameras pointing at the building, and they basically create elevation views. So if I were to double click on that, I can see that this elevation is being shown. The other way that I can do this is through my project browser. If I come over here to my project browser, I have 4 elevations. I have an east, north, south, west elevation. So if I double click on east, this is what my elevation looks like from the side. The first thing I want to do is I want to come down here and change my detail level to fine, and I want to look at it realistic. The next thing I want to do is change it from an 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch equals a foot. So whenever I'm doing my elevations, I want to basically look at these at a 1/4 inch equals a foot, or the same scale as my floor plan. Then I can grab these things, my levels, and I can drag them in. I don't want them way out there. There's no need for them to be way out there. So I'm grabbing that little circle and just dragging them in. And then I can do the same thing with this end. The next thing is these sections, I don't want to see sections in an elevation view. So what I can do is come into my, I could temporarily turn them off by clicking on that, and I could go to my little sunglasses and I could say hide category or hide element, but every time I open up the drawing they're going to turn back on. So the permanent solution is to come in here to my visibility graphics, click edit, and under the annotation categories tab I can come down here, scroll down through until I get to sections, and turn them off, say OK, and they disappear. Now while I'm in here, I'm going to go through and I'm going to turn on my crop view and make it visible. So right now it's pretty much exactly where I want it to be. I might stretch it in a little bit, might stretch this side out a little bit, and then I'm going to turn that off. The next thing that you can do with your elevations, just like we did with the section, you can go through and add annotations. So for right here, I would call this out as, and I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to change my format this time to a single line. Click there, and I'm going to call this vinyl siding with caps on. I could do the same thing with the asphalt shingles. I could call out the fascia. There's a lot fewer things to call out with the elevations. The next step after I have that all done is I can, in my project browser, I can go back to my sheets and I can make a new sheet. I'm going to use the horizontal modify title block. I'm going to say OK. And for elevations, I'm going to start out with 200. So we're going to use 200s for elevations, 300s for sections, and 100s for plans. So now that I have a sheet set up, change that to elevations. I can go back to my project browser and I can start dragging elevations on here. There's my east, My north I haven't set up, so I would have to go back through and do all that setup before I dropped it on there. And whenever I put these in here, they automatically come in with this drawing symbol, which tells me which drawing number it is, what's the drawing name, and the scale of the drawing. I want to keep that underneath my drawing. And if I want to change the size of this line, make it a little bit smaller, I click on my viewport and I grab that little circle and I bring it in like that. This is how it should look. So the next step would simply be to add the other elevations to this drawing. Whenever it's all said and done, we might end up combining two sheets for the sections and the elevations, since the drawings are so small on here.